There are more podcasts on YouTube than there are stars in the night sky. Everyone has been convinced that they're a unique, special little butterfly and that their insight is invaluable. And now that there's so much easy access to recording equipment, everyone gets this insidious little idea planted deep in their noodle that it's time to start a podcast.
Well, here we go. I'm Harry Potter. Okay. Welcome, one and all. Hope you're all doing very well. This is a new type of stream that I'm doing right now. We are going to be doing a podcast. I know, I'm jumping in feet first in the deep end of the pool of all the other podcasts, and we're doing it. It's been something I've been wanting to do. I did one a couple weeks ago. I had fun doing it. Audio was kind of sketchy this time. It's going better. We are going to be talking about some hot topics. Hope everybody's doing good. What's up, lag? Hope you're doing well. We are going to be live. If everybody who's going to be watching this on YouTube wants to catch this live, I will be putting all these streams up on live. I will be putting all the streams on my YouTube channel. If you ever want to catch it live, I am going to be here on we're doing the podcasts. The podcasts will be streamed live, hopefully every week, Saturday night or Sunday night. So join up on the Discord if you want to check that out. And there we go. We are going to be talking about a very hot topic, a very sensitive topic, I should say, in today's society. First off, I think it's kind of funny how people feel like they need to say this in the beginning, because I wish that we could just understand that most people aren't going out of their way to offend people, but I'm going to say it anyway. This isn't to be offensive. This isn't, hey, what's up, Alex? This isn't, I just want to let you all know, this isn't to be offensive. This isn't supposed to be, I don't mean to piss anybody off. This is what I believe. This is what and these are some topics that I feel that are backed up. Feel the way that I'm going to present this is backed up by a lot of data, and by a lot of people who are way more intelligent than I am. But I do this live because I want to be able to engage everybody. I want people to hop in the stream. I want to talk with you. You have different opinions. If you think I'm full of it, please let me know. I'm totally good with that. I'm glad you're here early too, Alex. What's going on? Evander, I hope you're doing well. So before the topic today is going to be about the whole transgender movement, the whole kind of transgender stuff that's going on in the world. I know that's a very hot topic. It can be really sensitive to a lot of different people, a lot of differing points of views, but that's what's going to be on. But before we do that, before we jump in here, I want to give a shout out to a film that's going to be actually coming out on Independence Day, July 24th. It's called The Sound of Freedom. This is a topic that I would love to talk about maybe on another podcast, but this movie is about child trafficking, and it talks about the trafficking that happens between the U.S. and Mexico border, and it just it's trying to show and teach people that, look, we need to have strong borders in different countries and everything, because this is a problem, and it undermines the safety of our children and of innocent, not just children but women as well. through both countries, you know, Mexico and people in Mexico and in the United States. And I just wanted to, that's going to be coming out on the 4th, and I just wanted to let you all know about it. We're going to watch the trailer real quick. And so here we go.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's gonna pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time with a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
I love this actor. He's one of my favorite
How many kids you
actors.
found?
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana?
Te lo prometo.
This is based on a credible true story, obviously. It says.
Rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No
Did
one
not
goes
hear
in.
about that.
Not the army,
Alex?
not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
Sound of Freedom. Exclusively in theaters. We are definitely going to be having a podcast about that topic as well. Please, if you guys want to watch that, please go and watch it in theaters. I'm going to definitely do it on Independence Day. So anyway, I want to give that a shout out. I know that the whole transgender, LGBTQ, whatever, kind of that big topic, it's quite a large topic, So we can go into it in different facets. I really specifically, this podcast, I wanted to talk about specifically when it comes to children, when it comes to minors. Now we will most likely definitely dabble in other areas around this topic, but specifically want to talk about in minors. So I'm going to read your comments here. Evander, a close family friend, was trafficked as a child. I have quite mixed opinions about this topic. You know what, Evander, I would love to hear about your opinions on that as well. Alex, he says, yeah, since most people are religious and serving a couple of somebody in LGBT goes against their beliefs, it has been brought to attention. Yes. Yeah. 100%. But ask you a personal question. Yes. What is it? If your child came to you as transgender when they grow up, would you accept that? So that is what I accept that. When they grew up, what do you mean? Like when they grew up, when they are an adult and are out living outside my house? What are you talking about when they grow up? See, when I hear grow up, for me, that's when they become an adult. When they are living under my house, when they are under my care, there's going to be, we're going to have a discussion about that. I'm not going to, hate them. I'm not going to shame them. That doesn't help at all. I feel that in today's climate, we're going to get into I have a lot of videos. I don't know if we're going to be able to get onto them all, but there's a lot of statistics and things that I want to talk about. How it feels to me that this whole transgender movement seems to be I'm going to put this very bluntly, seems to be more of a fad, something popular to be a part of, a popular group to be a part of, rather than, well, let me backtrack. And because it has gained such popularity and notoriety, there are more and more younger minds gravitating to that. Because, let's say, here's an example. When you are younger, you are trying to figure out the world. You are still young. When you are, a youth, you might not fit in all the time. You are trying to be part of a group. And when you see and are told that, people in the LGBTQ, that community are almost elevated and praised, it becomes very tempting to be a part of that community. And we're going to get into more videos about that by a wonderful psychologist. His name's Jordan Peterson. I really respect. He's a very world-renowned psychologist, and I think him and many others share or put some light on the whole topic. U.S. businesses are allowed to discriminate against LGBT members, basically. They also denied Biden's scheme to forgive $44 million in college debt. Yes, and that is another topic that we can talk about as well. I'm just going to be very blunt with you on that. I think that is a scheme is 100% true. I do not believe that somebody should have to pay the bill when you have decided to go into debt. And that's just, and I'm just gonna, that's kind of bluntly, we can definitely get into that topic too, as well. Discriminate. So that's interesting. So let's think about that. Like, so for me personally, let's say, when it comes to religious beliefs, though, it's a very, for example, let's say somebody comes to me. Let's say I'm doing business with somebody, and I want them to perform. Let's say I want them to perform at my, son's or daughter's wedding, and I want them to perform music. Let's just throw that out there. And they are not Christian, let's say, and they do not support that. If they would tell me, like, you know what, performing at this wedding is not in accordance to my religious beliefs, I cannot support that. I'm just, as somebody who also has has very strong religious beliefs, I wouldn't shame them and I wouldn't hold that against them. In fact, I might actually even respect them a bit more. And the reason for that is because they are sticking with what they believe, and that's totally fine. I don't think that my beliefs should force them to do something that goes against their religious beliefs. That makes sense. I'd say my opinion on what I do about a trans child I'd have, but it'd be too much. You know what? You can definitely share your opinions. I have no problem with that. As long as no one is getting hurt, I believe that anyone can accept or refuse business to another. Yeah, honestly, I think that's not a bad take on that, Evander. You should have me as co-host on one of these podcasts. Yes, 100%. See, I am totally open. I would love to have people on. I would love to have people to communicate, talk with people, and just have a discussion. Would totally love that. That'd be so fantastic. I would love that. That'd be awesome. When they are an adult living under your roof. So when they are an adult living under my roof. So this is what I'd say. First of all, I need to go a little bit deeper into that. if I have a child who says, you know what, Dad, I feel that I am of the opposite sex. Okay. I first ask, well, why do you believe that? Right? Because that would be something very interesting, because that would, I'm just going to take this, I'm going to put a religious perspective on this, because I'm very religious. I'm going to put a religious perspective on this, right? I believe that we are made in God's image, male and female, and I also believe that we do not have perfect bodies. We are faulty. We are born in an imperfect world where we have frailties. It's the same thing with, I think, I take care of people who have mental handicaps. They were born differently. But one of the things, I've taken care of somebody who has schizophrenia and many other issues. But one of the things that, as what I'm trying to help them do, I'm trying to help them go through life the best, and to teach them how to go through life with the difficulties that they have. If somebody who has schizophrenia, for example, the last thing that I'm going to do is say, if they come up to me and say, the curtains were talking to me, they're trying to get me. One of the last things I'm going to do is affirm that and say, yeah, you're absolutely right. The curtains are talking to you and they are trying to get you. That's not going to help anything. You're going to take it at a different approach. So if I have a child who's coming to me and saying, hey, I feel that I am of the opposite sex, I'm going to take that a different approach. One thing, I would definitely, bear a testimony to them and say, I'm sorry you feel that way. That must be incredibly difficult to feel so confused, to feel that you are not in the right body. I want to let you know that I love you, that I care about you, and that I'm here for you. And I want to let you know that you were born, and let's say it's my daughter, I was like, I wanted to let you know that you were born as a girl because God made you as a girl. And while your feelings and the way that you feel might be different than what biologically you are, I know that you are my beautiful daughter, and I'm here to support you and help you, and to help you I would say get through this, because in my opinion, I don't feel that affirming an identity that somebody or a feeling that somebody might have is the best way to help that person. If it is completely devoid and away far from biology, factual, and logic, I think that there are better ways to help that individual. So you love Jordan Peterson. I love Jordan Peterson. He has amazing. You agree with pretty much everything he says. Yeah. So there are some great topics that he and he talks a lot about gender dysphoria, and he talks a lot about this whole movement, it seems, and to specifically force I would say force this on children, So I saw a video of an LGBT protest crowd walking through and destroying a row of veteran graves. It really pissed me off. Yeah, no, that would, yeah, and I find it so, and the thing that is very frustrating to me is that it feels like to me that when it comes to the media and, the mainstream media, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about, but if it was anybody else, if it was just a bunch of straight white males running around just doing that, that would be front page of news immediately. But but if it's because it's about from a specific group, they just kind of sweep that under the rug. And to me, that shows a lot of bias, and that shows that they aren't being sincere, right? And to personally, if somebody, it doesn't matter what group or how you identify, race, creed, whatever you identify as, if you're walking through a row of graves for veterans and you are destroying them, I'm sorry, you have mental problems and you need to seek help. And I say that with all the love and kindness in my heart, but you need to seek help because that is not a normal thing to do. That is not a normal thing to do. Right? It just isn't. That is not normal. I don't feel that, when it comes to, and I'm going on a tangent here, I'm sorry. I feel that if you're going doing a parade, and it could be and there's been a lot of gay pride parades and everything, and if you feel that it's totally okay for you to walk around on this in the parade butt naked in front of children, that is not normal, and you need some help. And if you are a parent and you bring a child to that, you also need help, and that is a huge problem. Anyway, I went on a little tangent there. Evander, I've thought about LGBT stuff for many hours, determining in my opinion on the subject. There is more in my mind that I would be able to type in weeks, but one of such is that children cannot choose to be transgender unless their parents agree. Yes, I agree with you 100% on that. Or until they turn 18. Children don't know as much as they think they know, including me. Yes, I 100% agree with you. Yes, Jordan Peterson, he actually talks about this. And he says that if a child is suffering, he's like kind of confused and everything, the last thing and I'm summarizing, and we'll go into that. I think I have this video up here. It basically says, leave them alone. Affirm their biological gender to them, and as time goes on, they're going to grow out of it. They will. And I think he said like 80% of them turn just regular heterosexual people. I don't think saying, well, yeah, you might be the opposite, for a child. No, I don't believe you say that. You do that. What was it like taking care of somebody with schizophrenia? It was honestly difficult to certain extents, to certain degrees. This person wasn't originally diagnosed with schizophrenia, so we didn't really know what was going on. And then when we finally found out, like, oh my gosh, that makes a lot of sense. And then we were able to adapt accordingly. And one of the things that we said to the person, that when said individual said, this person is trying to kill me, we didn't say, yeah, they are. Why would I affirm that? That'd be the stupidest thing to do. Like, it'd be so stupid to do. What we said was, no, you're safe, you're okay, that person loves and cares about you, we're here for you, right? And so that's why it was, religious beliefs conflict with LGBT so much. No, 100%, because in my opinion, the LGBT beliefs, I believe that it is a type, I think it has become a type of religion, or you can even argue a type of, if to really slam that whole movement, even I think it, in certain aspects, it's very cult-like. So, and gender identity, yeah. I know that's really tough to kind of hear, but I feel that there are very many kind of cult-like things that what the crap are you doing? So anyway, we're gonna go into a video here. This is Nick Merckx. Okay, so Nick Merckx, he had a tweet, right? It was and I don't know if you guys saw the tweet. I know I talked about it on a stream very briefly, but it was a simple tweet, and it was basically what he was tweeting about was there was LGBTQ pro people and then I guess like religious people, and they were just like fighting. And he just simply tweeted out, the real thing is that you just need to keep this away from kids, because that was what they were fighting about. And I was like, and I felt that was a very simple take, and I 100% agree with that. I feel that you should keep it away from kids. I don't think feeling that you need to talk about your gender, sexuality, and what you like to do in the bedroom or to teach kids how to do said certain things in the bedroom is appropriate at all. I think that when it comes to schools, you should teach ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, math, science, and that's it. I mean, I'm just glossing over it. You know, I mean, I know there's other things that they can learn and everything, but I'm just stick with the basics here. Urbano, in this same context, you're describing gender dysphoria as mental illness because that's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, I know that's really controversial, that can be really hateful to say, but that's what it is. It is in, I think it's the DSM-5 medical. I'll have to look up the video, but it is I feel that it is a mental illness, and just because something is a mental illness doesn't mean that they're bad, that you have a problem. I mean, I have loved ones who I care about very much, who they will tell you that they have a mental illness because that's what they have. I mean, it is mental illness, but that doesn't mean that it should be. It doesn't mean that I think that they are terrible people, that they're bad, or that they're just something so wrong with them that, you know, they're just crazy people. No, I'm not saying that. If you have depression, that's a mental illness, and that doesn't mean that I think they're bad people. It just means that they have mental struggles, and they should and can get help. So yeah, it is mental illness, and it is a vendor. It is a mental illness, and it is to be treated. Yes. But when it's taught how it is in schools, then it is amplified and destroyed. Yes, I agree with you on that. So effectively, you're saying transgender people are mentally ill. I mean, yeah, I would say so. I'm sorry. I mean, I know that sounds really, that probably sounds really brutal. It doesn't. Doesn't mean that I think they're bad people and that they shouldn't be respected and be respected and showed love, but if you are saying that your biological sex isn't correct, and you're to the point where you will go and get surgery and take hormones that essentially just destroy your body, yeah, I think that qualifies for mental illness. I mean, people who have anorexia, people who practice cutting themselves, that's a mental illness. Doesn't mean that they are bad people. Doesn't mean that they are horrible. It just means that they need to seek help, and that we should provide that help, and with all the love and dignity that we can. Gender dysphoria is a fascinating thing. I will share something personal and say I have had it in the past, and I still deal with it occasionally. For those who have it, I believe have it is because of trauma, and the trauma's relation to gender in this in some sense. I was confused in every sense for a long time, but with internal reflection and years of research of mental stuff, I have been able to feel peace and gain great perspective. Thank you for sharing that. That is I think that is okay. That's awesome. Okay. And from what I have witnessed, most people who do stuff like parade around and destroy graves while saying proudly that they are LGBT, then they are not truly who they say they are. They want attention, and even then, they have something that needs help. A lot of people who are caught up in this are just confused and taught to be angry. I'd love to hear all of your opinions on this. I think what you said there is 100% true, honestly. Okay, let's watch Nick's response to you. He says something that I find very, 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 very important, and I want to highlight. So let's write this.
First of all, man, the DMs, the text messages, the phone calls, I got people pulling up at my crib. I got people coming up to me in my community. It's crazy. I will say shocking and a little bit scary, you know, all the people that came to me privately, like DMs, phone calls, and texts. And it would always start with, hey man, can't publicly, you know, go to bat for you, basically. That's what they were saying. And I mean, I understand not wanting to be in the mess, because I mean, it gets a little bit crazy. I mean, I didn't want to be in it either, but at the same time, like, I stand by everything that I said. That's where I'm at, that's where I land. You can paint me up again to be anything you want me to be. That's what the internet does. They take 8 words and they spin it and twist it and finagle it, while neglecting and pushing to the side who you actually are and everything that you've said your entire life, being on the internet for 10 fucking years straight. They're just gonna put that all to the side and say, oh, see? So many people privately, Chad, so many people. I started to get kind of annoyed by it. We were off for a week, and towards the end of this, there had been so many people that were like, hit me up. I kind of began to get annoyed. I didn't want to hear it anymore. I mean, if you really feel this way, why don't you speak up?
Boom, right there. Right there. Here's Nick. He's getting messages, people coming up to him saying, hey man, sorry, I you know, kind of is saying I in like support, but like I can't really, you know, publicly defend you. I'm sorry. They're cowards. They are cowards. Absolute cowards. If you agree with the viewpoint of somebody else, but you're too scared of the hate that might come to you, then you are a coward. I 100% believe that. You're a coward, you have no spine. Especially if it's somebody who you respect. You respect them enough to go to them privately, but you're not enough to publicly defend them. And it got to the point where he was saying he was annoyed by all of it. Dude, like that's insane. That's a lot of people. Right? Nick is huge. And he's getting annoyed that, you know, that there's so many people that are coming to him and saying, yeah, I support you what you said. Hey, I think it's, you know, crazy and stupid that, you know, the media and people are taking, you know, your 8 words that you said that, you know, about that, the whole transgender kind of sexual, you know, transgender stuff should be, you know, kept away from the kids, you know, out of school and everything is just being blown out of proportion. But they don't have the balls to say that publicly. So, Evander, thanks. I've been keeping an open mind. I have gone through some stuff that helped me immensely. I'm happy to keep giving my opinion to things as long as I can have a few minutes to prepare. Yeah, 100%. The religious and LGBT both talk about love and acceptance for all, yet neither are for the other. Kind of ironic. Yeah, that is interesting. In that particular scenario, yes. In that particular scenario, yes. I thank you for clarifying. Yes, I agree. In that particular scenario, it actually really made me feel a little embarrassed that they were fighting. Now, I don't know who started the whole thing, but just throwing it out there, if somebody's gonna punch me in the face and try to hassle me, and they won't leave me alone, and they keep trying to throw punches, I'm gonna be throwing hands too, because I gotta defend myself. Just throwing it out. But anyway, that's besides the point. So anyway, and the main reason I wanted to talk about this video is because, like I said before, if you don't have the balls to speak openly about what you believe in a kind way, of course, then I think you need to really have a kind of a come to Jesus moment. You need to have a come to Jesus moment and understand that if you do not speak if you don't speak what you believe, you are supporting, in my opinion, the other side of what you don't believe. Now, I really want to get into some videos here. One thing here. Now, a lot of people have been saying, oh, this isn't taught in schools. People aren't doing this in schools. Well, got some newsflash for you. It is. The whole transgender movement in general is in schools and is being taught in schools, it's being promoted in schools, and it is gross.
Trans is wearing woman face no different than I would wear black face.
going to be a black person.
I understand. And
It's assuming an identity that isn't yours.
on that specific example, I think it's the intention behind it.
The intention is completely irrelevant. It's the action that we must judge, correct?
Well,
So if somebody robs a bank because they're poor, they should still go to jail regardless if they're poor or rich. If somebody appropriates a womanhood identity, they could say, well, I just wanted to be happy, or I just wanted to win the NCAA championship because I wasn't able to compete against men. We should call them a cheater. So their intent, he said, not she. He said on ESPN this weekend, I just wanted to be happy. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of happy cheaters out there. That's why we have standards.
I feel like you're giving a lot more malicious intent to these individuals.
But it's irrelevant. They're doing something evil. It doesn't matter if they think they're doing good. Every evil force in the history of the world thinks they're doing good, man.
Now, he was talking specifically about, I think, Leah Thomas, and how he was competing against women, and I think that's what he's specifically talking about. Now, I still think that this is very relevant, obviously, in this whole topic, because just letting you know, if my daughter going to school and she's like, I'm going to do swimming, there's a man who's going to be competing against her, that is cheating, and that isn't right. And especially if they think that person should be in the same locker room with my daughter. Hell no, that's not happening. That is not happening. So I think, and this is something that is happening in schools, and it is very scary, and I do not like that at all. Sorry. So anyway, the LGBT in schools firsthand. Yeah. So Evander, you know firsthand, but because you're still in school. Yeah, 100%. This is Ben Shapiro talking.
I agree with you that biologically a man is a man and a woman is a woman. I was just wondering what you see the detriment of society, why we can't let a transgender woman be called she or something.
Because it is a lie.
I agree.
Detrimental to society. So I think there are a couple of reasons. So yeah, sorry, you let him finish the question. That's fine.
No, I'm just wondering, what do you see? I understand it's lying. I was taught not to lie. I just don't understand what is so wrong about that specific lie.
Well, I mean, as opposed to other lies, I'm not sure there is anything wrong. I mean, I don't like all of them, but as far as that specific lie, I think that one of the problems that we have is this determination that men can become women and women can become men undermines some barriers between men and women that I think are useful and good, particularly in children. So if I have to teach my 3.5-year-old, right, she's almost 4, if I teach my almost 4-year-old girl that she can become a boy, then I think that is not only lying to her, I think it's confusing her, and I think it's damaging to her psyche.
Ben Shapiro here was saying that it is very damaging to the child's psyche if you teach them that men can be women and women can be men, that gender is just, well, no problem. Biological sex, who knows, okay? And when I was in Brazil, I met somebody who was born with two sets of, who had both genitalia. Very, 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 very rare. I believe that is a very good example of what happens to kids today. Exactly. Now, I 100% agree with you, Evander. Now, I'm not saying that every child, it's very rare when somebody's born with when both sets of genitalia, male and female. Very rare. However, the concept with this is still very relevant today, right? Yes, it's incredibly rare. It's incredible. I think it's called intersex. It's incredibly, it's like less than 0.1%. It's very, very rare, right? Now, when this person, because to be perfectly honest, I don't even know. The reason why is because this individual in past 50s didn't know either, right? And when you would look at the person, it was honestly, you couldn't tell either. It was very difficult anyway. And look, I don't mean to say this, I don't mean to come off like, oh yeah, I don't want to come off like I'm not sensitive to the person's. The reason why I'm talking about it is because it was really painful to see the mental frustration and struggle that this person was going through and had gone through their entire life. It's so sad. So anyway, this person's born. The parents are like, oh my gosh, what the crap do we do? The doctor said, well, you need to let your child decide which gender, they are. Okay. So the father wanted a girl. The mother wanted a boy. The father would buy boy clothes and the mother would buy the mother would buy boy clothes and boy toys. The father would buy girl clothes and girl toys. And this confused their child incredibly because they didn't understand, why am I being presented with two separate different types of toys and clothes that I can clearly see other people, they use different clothes, they play with different toys. Why am I being presented with both of them? And why are you telling me that I have to decide? I just get to choose, right? Yes, that is on. Now, I don't necessarily blame the parents as much because they were being guided by a medical professional. And 50, 60 years ago, I have no idea how, I don't know what this doctor has taught and everything. I don't necessarily blame the parents as much, but I do, I blame more of the medical professionals, because if you are a parent and you're like, oh my gosh, my child is suffering from this, I don't know what to do because I have no idea what to do. So you go to a professional and they say, well, you got to let them decide. In my opinion, that doctor gave them very wrong and bad information. Both parents choosing their own selfish wants over the child's mental health. Yes. Now, 100%. I do agree with you on that. Yes. You're absolutely right. Yes, you're absolutely right on that. Like, yes. In that case, yes. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, I believe that is definitely 100%, very heavy on the parents specifically in that case, because they are, like you said, they're choosing their own selfish wants over the child's mental health. Now, from what I understand, even if you are intersex, you still have, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I have heard that you still have the set of chromosomes of what your gender is. So if you are female, it's XX, if you're male, it's XY. Now, 60 years ago, did they have the technology to find that out? To be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure. That being said, there still are indicators that can help guide the parents and the child to that. Unfortunately, the care that this child needed was not given, and for their entire life, very, very confused. They were in relationships as a woman, they were in relationships as a man, and they were suffering from just this inner turmoil of who they are as a person, because they didn't even know the basic thing of what their gender is. Now, if you apply that in today's society, if you have a child, let's just say child was born a girl, but you said, well, we want them to decide. That isn't going to help the child. That doesn't help them. Children need a baseline. Children need structure. You can't just give the child, hey, yep, you can just go decide whatever the hell you want to do. No, you cannot do that. You can't, that doesn't help the child understand how to go about the world and to become a successful person and to live in a functioning society when they're told, yeah, you can choose whatever the hell you want to do. And now, I'm not saying that when you give them the option, like, yeah, well, you can choose whatever gender you want to do. That doesn't help them because it messes with them. It's like, okay, so if I can choose, right? You wouldn't allow a child to, if the child's like, well, I decide to smoke alcohol, I decide to smoke cigarettes. No, you wouldn't let the child smoke cigarettes. So, you wouldn't let the child smoke, drink, get a tattoo. Why in today's society do we have people who are like, well, they can choose their gender? No. children are not these sexual beings that are just, you know, thinking about, you know, sex and gender the entire time. They're not. They are not. They're not. And anybody who tells you otherwise is, I highly disagree with that, because all the data and facts that I've seen do not support that. A child can have both male and female chromosome patterns in some cases, but in most, you're correct. Okay. So there are those. Okay. Thank you, Leg. Thank you, Leg. See, you're freaking awesome. Thank you. So in most cases, so there you go. In most cases, you are able to identify that. And see, if that happened to my child, I would first be like, okay, what are their chromosomes? And then if they ended up having both, now I'm pretty sure if they have both I think there might be some other medical issues though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there are other medical issues if they also have both sets of chromosomes too. Pretty sure that can cause some other issues as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know that from what I remember in biology class that if somebody had an extra chromosome of any type, it can cause some really serious, health conditions and everything. But anyway, completely agree about it. Okay, right on. Okay, so awesome. We find a common ground and everything. And so there we go. So now going back to transgenderism, all this stuff in schools. I don't feel that you should be indoctrinating or teaching kids about LGBTQ, that type of lifestyle or anything. There are schools that say that, hey, let's throw in some books teaching about gender, LGBTQ lifestyle and gender stuff. All right? There's one book called The Gender Queer that is not appropriate for myself, let alone children, and it's not appropriate whatsoever. There's going to be a video that it teaches how to perform certain sexual acts, and this is a picture book for children. It's disgusting. And yet these types of books are being introduced and being put in children's libraries at schools. Now, I would have a huge issue, same sense, if it was talking about if it was teaching children, if it was some graphic novel teaching children about heterosexual relationships and how to perform sexual acts in a heterosexual relationship. That also would be inappropriate. It would also be inappropriate. I'm not saying that you don't teach about, in biology, how babies are born. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you do not need to teach children how to perform sexual acts on one another. That is not appropriate. That should never be taught in schools. Parents should be the ones to be talking to them about this whole subject when they feel that it is appropriate. It should not be taught. Somebody that isn't me or my wife should not be teaching my children or talking to my children about this type of lifestyle. All right? Are you serious? Yes. What about sex education? That's what I'm saying. Sex education, I'm not saying that you don't teach how babies are born. I'm not saying that that's right. I'm not saying that that's wrong. You teach, I don't have a problem teaching about, biology. That's fine. What I'm talking about is going into graphic detail on how to perform sexual acts on another person. That is not appropriate, and that should not be flaunted, and it should not be taught. I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about this is the reproductive system, and I'm not talking about that. Yes, go ahead, teach that appropriately for children, appropriately. Okay, you don't need to go. All right. LGBT thinks the other side hates them, and this side believes LGBT to be confused and the idea of LGBT to be bad. Both have small bits of truth, but mostly I believe both to be incorrect. Most people on this side don't have the insight to understand what LGBT, not those acting to be such, actually feel. And much evil is spread to kids that people hate them. Most people are good and amazing, but we are flawed and don't know each other. Do you think children should be aware of the dangers of it? Because even though it's not a good thought, it does happen. So what do you mean aware of it? Aware of different types of lifestyles? So that I don't think that those different types of sexual lifestyles should necessarily be taught to children. I think that you should teach a male and a female make children. That's how you make a baby. Period. I mean, very basic stuff. I don't think that you should be going off and teaching. Yeah, well, there are some people that have. I honestly don't think that you should be teaching that. Yes, there are people in schools. I think that type of topic is taught. The parents have full authority to teach that, to explain to them that there are other people in the world that have different lifestyles, but that it is not appropriate. I don't feel that it is appropriate for the school to teach, how a gay couple has sex or a lesbian couple has sex, or you see the thing. I don't think that is appropriate. I hope that, that makes sense. Firsthand, I know that true gender dysphoria is feeling like being a male is a core part of myself, and yet something was missing in my core, and females seemed to fit the core, but was not entirely correct. I was raised one way, but currently told another way. It was confusing to the deepest part of myself, but like I said earlier, I had done some research on mental stuff and figured out why I felt the way I did. Okay, yes, Evander, okay. Once I figured this out, I was able to find peace in knowing why. I currently have more insight on both parties than most people, and I have more to say. Yes, 100%. The more to say was the earlier long part. This one was a long saying. Yes, 100%. I get you. Awesome. That's not what I'm at. Okay. Explain, lag. Sorry. And look, I don't want to. And look, I don't ever want you to. Anybody who, if I respond to you, I don't want you to think that I'm like coming after you or anything. Like, because I can get a little animated sometimes, and it's not an intentional to make you feel. I don't want if you feel like I'm coming after you, I'm attacking you or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to. That's not what I'm trying to do. Anyway, I appreciate you talking to me. I have nothing. My mind is blank. Okay, so here, this is one of the right here.
You gotta party with me. I get so high.
Meet the machine.
What is right here.
I like books for kids, and there's a lot of different kinds of books.
Right here.
And then this book pops up.
Pay attention to this.
It has to be a joke.
Pay attention to
No,
this.
it's a real book. What's the title of the book? This is the title of the book. If you can zoom into
the
this
gay
book.
BCs.
Are you serious? No, if you can zoom in, by the way. Rob, you're laughing, and part of it could be funny. The website is called queerbooks.com, okay? And this is a real book. So I bought it. I'm like, okay, let me take a look at this. The gay BCs. Let's go through it together.
Oh, sorry about that.
Well, let's take a look. So here's what A is for, is that ally, a friend who is there to stand up for you with strength, love, and care. I like that.
Yeah.
B is for bi.
Oh.
You can shout it out loud. I like boys and girls, and that makes me proud.
What ages is this for? Does it say at the beginning of the book?
What do you mean what ages? It's like you're not
It's a
reading
kid's
this
book.
at 18 years old. This is a kid's book. This has got to be.
The author is M.L. Webb. Who is
I
this?
actually want to go through this to see.
On Amazon, it says the grade level is preschool through third grade.
Yeah, this is exactly where I was going with this.
Okay.
The Don't Say Gay bill specifically targets
C.
people third grade and under. Do not talk about this stuff.
So basically, congressman, basically.
C is for coming out. You're ready to share what you feel deep inside. It's okay to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
D is for drag. You can strut. And by the way, this is not a joke. This is a book. You can strut and dance in clothes that you have. dresses, heels, and pants. E is for equality. We're on the same team. We all have the right to love, hope, and dream. F is for family, related or found they'll stick to by your side, ups and down, good. G is for gay. It's a word that implies that you're a girl who likes girls or a guy who likes guys. H is for hope. Dream up a life you love. Sky's the limit. And by the way, intersex is I. J is for joy. Key is for Kiki. L is for lesbian. M is for mountain. N is for non-binary. O is for orientation. P is for pan. Q is for obviously queer. R is for respect. S is for sachet.
That goes with drag.
T is for
shout out to RuPaul there.
T is for trans. It's a brave step to take to live as the gender you know. U is for unique. V is for vogue. W is for wonder. X is for, you can write it down when you have M or from his pronoun. U is for you. Y is for you. Z is zest.
Yeah.
That's a book. Okay. The gay BCs. Okay.
Okay. Do you think that's appropriate for children? I'm gonna give you my opinion. Hell no. That is not an appropriate book for children. And this is why. You're teaching children about children. They are not sexually active type. No. That's not appropriate for children. You don't thrust some sort of, you don't thrust this on children. All those topics should be, in my opinion, when you're talking about gay, lesbian, when you're talking, queer, all bi, all that, those, I think that is for parents to talk to their kids when they deem it appropriate. That is not my if any of my kids' teachers bring that book out, like, let's read this together. No, not appropriate. No. That is not for kids. I'm sorry. That is just not for kids. You teach ABCs. A is for apple. B is for bear. C is for cat. Keep it simple. Keep it real there. You don't need to be diving into the whole sexual orientation type stuff with children. You don't need to do that. That's not good for them. That's just going to confuse them. It's just gonna mess them up. No, you don't do that. Most stupid book. Yes, 100% agree with you. I agree with you. I got the lag. You thought it was that he was Sylvester Stallone. Yes, very. Yeah. I usually have paragraphs to tell you about. Hey, you can write them up. Evander's been throwing these in there. So that is a book that is actually for children that has been in schools before too. This is like a 21-minute clip. This is from the Valuetainment podcast. This guy is a very successful businessman, amazing podcast. Highly recommend you guys check out the full video and everything. We're gonna go into another one here. I think. Okay, let's see. And I would love to go through this whole entire video. It's actually fantastic. But got more. There's another video I want to pull up here, right here.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does. First of all,
here we go.
Seeks recognition.
Okay, so she was assaulted, and this father was angry. Okay. I would like to quote the family a proclamation where gender is an essential characteristic of individual pre-mortal, and eternal identity and purpose. 100% agree with you, Evander.
Purpose, a gentleman from Texas seek recognition.
Okay.
Who strike the last word?
Gentleman's recognized.
Well, now that we've been liberal-splained the narrative about what is actually going on by this administration.
I do have a little bit more to quote. Okay, Evander, what do you say? Disability, death, or rare circumstances may necessitate individual adaptation. Yes, when it comes to, yes, yeah. When it comes with family and, yes, 100%.
On September, let's talk about the facts. Let's talk about what's not made up, as the gentleman was just alleging about being made up. On September 29, 2021, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to President Biden equating concerned parents voicing their opinion at school board meetings as domestic terrorists and urging the administration to exercise its authorities under the Patriot Act.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna give a little preface of what this is happening. So there was a school where they allowed one of the students to go into the bathroom. It was a boy who said that he identified as a girl, and they allowed this student to go into the girl's bathroom. From the title here, it says, "She was assaulted and this father was angry." What do you think happened? What do you think happened? And what this guy is going to be talking about is that this happened, I think, over a year ago. Now, this happened over a year ago. Okay? This isn't so right here, September. It says right here, right here, September 14th, 2022. Okay? I'm gonna watch this. This happened in a school here, and this is what the school board did.
News reports indicate that the NSBA coordinated with the White House and engaged for weeks leading up to this. That the NSBA coordinated with the White House this very specific allegation. We have on October 4th, 2021, 5 days after the NSBA letter. The NSBA letter, the National School Board Association letter, by the way, which references specific examples, one of which is Scott Smith from Loudoun County, Virginia. That is in the NSBA letter, which again we know to be factually true, that there had been coordination between the NSBA and the White House, as emails evidence. The timeline suggests that the NSBA sent the letter on September 29th, and on October 4th, Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a memorandum that directed the FBI and U.S. Attorney's offices to address a purported disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence at school board meetings. Let's talk about Scott Smith for a minute. Talk about all these things that are supposedly made up. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle allege. The National School Board Association sent this letter to the president. One of them, and in Virginia, an individual was arrested, another man was ticketed for trespassing, and that being Scott Smith. Why was this man so angry? This being an AEI article depicting exactly what occurred that fall.
Okay,
Why was this man so angry? It was because his 9th grade daughter had allegedly been sexually assaulted in a school bathroom by a gender-fluid, skirt-wearing boy. Now, that has now been adjudicated. And in fact, she was assaulted. And this father was angry. Now let's go forward. There are so many layers to this. The father in question, Scott Smith, on May 28, 2021, received a call asking him to come to the school because his daughter had been in a, quote, physical altercation. The school insisted they would handle the situation in-house. Police officers took this incident seriously. The school board then held a meeting to adopt a policy permitting bathroom access based on gender identity. Smith and his wife attended to voice their concerns. At that school board meeting, a school board member painted concerns about sexual assault as bigoted paranoia. After this exchange, Smith was approached and allegedly berated by a woman named Jackie Schwarm, a frequent poster in a Facebook group, Anti-Racist Parents of Loudoun County, a group that compiled a watch list with names, addresses, and employment information of parents who opposed woke school policies. Smith told the Daily Wire he tried to explain what happened to his daughter, that she was raped. And she looked me dead in the eyes and says, "That's not what happened." Smith further said that she noticed the name of his plumbing company on his shirt and said, "Oh, I'm going to ruin your business on social media," she said. This is what my colleague from Rhode Island says is made up. That's what my colleagues on the other side of the aisle say are made up.
So, I mean, ninth grade girl assaulted, raped in the bathroom by a gender fluid, skirt wearing boy. Father was pissed. School board tries to cover it all up. And then the parents are deemed as like terrorists or something. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And this is what's happened. And look, you might say, oh, that was just one off. That was just offshoot. No, actually, if you go a little bit further, this boy actually did before. I'd assault somebody else. This is why it's so important to keep children away from this stuff. To stop not allowing you keep bathrooms. Can girls have their own bathroom, please? Is that possible? Can we at least agree on that? Apparently, that's too difficult for some people. And this is why this is such a huge, just important topic to me personally, because I have children, I have nephews, I have friends who have children. I was a child. If this stuff was going on in my school, it would freak me out. What the hell's happening? This stuff needs to stay away from children. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Okay, let's see. These topics are Evander. These topics are personal to me, so sorry if I rant. It's all good. I wish I could more fully share my feelings because I know that not a lot of them are felt. Thank you for doing this and hearing me, even if you don't completely agree with me. Thank you, everyone who reads this. Yeah, no, I try to stay on topic from now. No, you're good. You're good, brother. No, I think your comments have been very well. All of your comments have been very awesome. I love questions, everything. Okay, so they're effectively manipulating young people to create an easier world for them to live in. Yes, 100%. Alienating the norm. I've seen countless examples of members of the LGBT community having stuff like straight people DNI. I don't know what that means, sorry. Which means they should not interact, which is a prime example of prejudice against heterosexuals and shows how the LGBT is affecting young people's views on the rest of the world. Yes, 100%. I hate acts of evil like this. These are one of the few things that give me great anger. Yes, that is horrible. Yes, 100% agree with you. Sophia, that makes me so mad I kill that boy. Yep, 100%. That was me, yep. And I wouldn't feel any remorse. Sorry, just that sounds really bad, but if anybody's going to rape anybody, well, they deserve what's coming to them. That is why I always have protection with me, 100%. That's why I always tell people, especially women, you carry a firearm. You carry a firearm with you. If anybody tries to assault you, force you on me, you use it. You protect yourself. Okay? And a firearm is an equalizer. Every single woman should carry one. Should always carry concealed carry. Just imagine how the father felt. Yeah. Oh, and it showed he was pissed, angry, and they tried to cover him up. They tried to arrest him. I would do the same thing. I'd be pissed off. Rightfully so, and good for that father to be pissed off. I'm proud of that father. I'm glad he got angry. I'm glad he made a show. And you know what? The only way that this news story was shown to the media, and you obviously, it was because Daily Wire, it's a conservative, leaning news media. They're the only ones who reported it and made the show a light. The only ones. And then the other mainstream media then were kind of forced to talk about it. And they talked about it very, 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 very limitedly. Barely talked about it. Because it came from the Daily Wire, who are conservative. But, you know, conservatives, they're painted as the really, really bad people. But yet they're the only ones who were reporting on this. Really makes you think, like, what are the good news sources out there? Just throwing out there. That was my dirt. I killed that boy without a shred of doubt or fear of consequence. Yeah, 100%. I believe that people who sexually assault others deserve life. Yeah, no, I honestly, this is my opinion. I think that if you sexually assault somebody, if you rape somebody, it is death or you're castrated. One of the two options. One of the two options. Especially children, 100%. 100%, I agree with it, especially if it's in children. Yep. I believe so too, Evander, especially because I've been through it before and I always had a hunger for justice ever since. Yep, 100%. 100%. So that was over a year ago. Here, outraged parent delivers powerful speech. Okay, here's this one. This is another one.
Halt, Diablo players.
Okay.
Do you have what it takes to beat hell? Get the best builds in game?
I just want to know what it is that makes a drag show family friendly, because
okay, let's read this. Parents lit up in what is this word? Incinitus Union School District Board after EUSD sent an invite to all families for a family-friendly drag show sponsored by a San Francisco Gender Reassignment Surgery Center and a 21-year-plus gay nightclub. Yeah, that's appropriate. No, it's not. Castration with scissors or death. Yep, 100%. I agree with you, Lag. Evan, these are one of the topics I can't fully understand, and I wish I could. Sorry for what happened, Bray. I'm sorry. Yeah.
if you follow it to its logical conclusion, you can slap family-friendly titles on anything. You can have family-friendly gentlemen's clubs, family-friendly strip shows, family-friendly 50 Shades of Grey read-alouds. Will you approve my flyer if I want to host in all the sex secrets of the Kama Sutra for kids and families if it's family-friendly? That's my question.
Wow.
What is it about a grown man, and I honestly, sincerely, as a woman, mean this, what is it about a grown man costumed in a sparkly bra with augmented boobs busting out, a leather miniskirt barely covering his twerking ass with tuck tape on his front while spreading his fish-netted legs as he writhes on the ground, grinding his groin next to a minor, family-friendly? You owe us an answer.
No.
And you know, you don't get to hide by just taking something down off Peachtree and calling it a day. You owe an explanation and an apology to every parent.
Yep, that is from San Francisco. How long ago was that? How long was it ago was this one? This was 8 months ago. San Francisco, and you wonder why people are leaving San Francisco in droves. Why businesses seem to be leaving California. I wonder. Because stupid policies like this. I understand. Like, I'm not saying, you know, there's a whole bunch of other reasons why businesses and people are leaving California, but this is definitely one of them. Yep. You're absolutely right, Lag. Yep. Okay, so there we go. We have school board tries to shut down dad reading aloud book from school library. So here's another one.
Next up, Jay McDonald in person.
This is a book that was in their library. And the dad is like, hey, feel comfortable reading this?
So I'm Jay McDonald. I'm here to talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity. So we hear so much about diversity, inclusion, and equity and how it's one of the main thrusts, main objectives of the school board and the school district. We don't often see specific examples of what diversity, inclusion, and equity looks like, though. So today I brought an excellent representation. This is like the archetype of diversity, inclusion, and equity material that it's one of the books that was just recently purchased for our libraries. It's in Romig and Bartlett. It's called Let's Talk About It by Erica Moen. So it's got one of the chapters in here is about sexting. And I'll just read some of the text here. So before you start sending your naughty masterpieces around the world, take some time to get friendly with photo editing software and apps. Digital photos are permanent and impossible to retract once they're out there. So keep your recognizable features out of them before you share them. This is a book for kids. Don't forget to crop out your face, hide your birthmarks and scars, and edit out your piercings and tattoos. And don't forget to tell your sweetie how hot they look. Let them know you appreciate the little gift they've sent you.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes?
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you at this point. It sounds like you have a concern about a book. I'd be glad to connect you to the superintendent and their team to go through the appropriate process.
I'd appreciate if you don't interrupt my time.
Mr. McDonald, I've asked you to defer to the superintendent and their team if you have a concern about a book. We have a procedure and a process and a team ready to assist you if you'd like.
Mr. President, I don't think he's violated any rules. I mean, he hasn't used pornography. I mean, he hasn't shown any pornography. He hasn't shown any.
This guy's defending the dad right here.
Words.
Mr. Donnelly, you can overrule the ruling of the chair if you'd like. It's my determination that we should ask Mr. McDonald to go through the appropriate process.
Well, I understand suggesting that to him, and I think that's fine, but I don't think he's said anything that would cause us to cut off his testimony at this point.
I think we have.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is gonna sound really kind of weird. This is the guy who's like, this guy right here. He's like, he doesn't want the dad to continue. He doesn't want the dad to continue to read from this book that is highly, highly inappropriate for children. If you are uncomfortable, somebody reading something that was a book that was at your school, maybe it shouldn't be in the schools. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Okay, here's another one. Let's keep going. Dad, here, this one. Here, let's go this one right here.
If you find exercise hard, you need one of these. All you need is 3 minutes. And once you try it, you'll never dread working out again.
A dead horse here. All right, I'm sorry, but it blows my mind that this type of stuff is actually in public schools and is promoted by teachers' unions too. What does that tell you? Here's another one. Hey. Dad trashes a school board for teacher's sexually explicit assignment.
Good evening. Many of you know me, so I am here to discuss this atrocity of assignments. I want to first state you're a liar. It's not a rumor. I have the proof right here in my phone of with whom would you do it with? And my daughter specifically stated that the teacher put up a wheel on the classboard and it stated anal penetration, oral sex,
this is what teachers are teaching.
Ear, kissing.
Some teachers,
and he wanted them to write down the initials of a boy or girl that they would do these activities with. Now, I don't know what's worse, wanting to know my child's sexual fantasy or who they're going to have anal penetration and oral sex with. What is he gaining from this? What do you gain from this information? Why has my daughter that naively did the assignment? Because she's scared. She wants to get good grades. She wants to be, get her license. She has to get good grades. And so she does this assignment. Where's the assignment? Why hasn't she had it turned back to her with her grade on it? What is he doing with it? Is this for his spank bank? Is he literally using this for his sexual deviant? These are questions that need to be answered. He verbally...
Do you see? This dad is pissed. And rightfully so. This guy's amazing. This is a good father.
Verbally, sexually abused every single child in that classroom. You look up the definition. I gave you the paper for the definition of verbal sexual abuse. Now, sexual abuse is sexual abuse. So where's the criminal charges? Why is he still teaching? Is it because he's the football coach and Churchill's doing good? Don't want to lose that hype? Because football doesn't matter when it comes to our children, okay? This sexual deviant needs to be removed. If you do not remove him, I'm giving you my word today that tomorrow morning I will go down to the county clerk's office and I will file for the removal of every single one of you.
Yeah.
100%. That was from this channel called Grassroots Army. That was posted 3 months ago. So, and those type of topics, those type of things are being taught in certain public schools. Mother confronts school board after elementary school secretly transitioned her child. And here.
Aurora Regino.
Mom at California school board meeting claims elementary school secretly transitioned child.
Just to acknowledge that you had signed up for the previous item, but I wanted to I moved all of those to under this item.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Hi, for those that don't know me, my name is Aurora Regino, and I am the mother that filed the lawsuit in federal court against Chico Unified for transitioning my daughter without my knowledge. I'm here today to tell my story so parents and the public know what is going on in our schools. Last year, my 11-year-old daughter was in elementary school here at Chico Unified, and her elementary school transitioned her from female to male behind my back. Shortly before this happened, my father had recently passed away, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer. My daughter was distressed and began questioning her sexuality, so she decided to reach out to a wellness counselor at her elementary school. The day my daughter shared her
wellness counselor. The wellness counselor at their school. Is it appropriate for a wellness counselor to be like, hey, you know what? Why don't you change genders? No.
I shared with her guidance counselor that she felt like a boy. The counselor immediately affirmed this new identity. From then on, the counselor continued to have one-on-one meetings with my daughter without my knowledge. During one of those one-on-one meetings, my daughter told the counselor she wanted to tell me about her new identity. The counselor ignored her requests and did nothing to support her in letting me know what was going on at school. Throughout her transition, my daughter changed very quickly, was bullied, and as a result was very unhappy. And because her school kept this transition a secret from me, she was on her own. I'm a busy working mother, just like the rest of you. Before this happened to our family, I would have not believed this was going on in our schools, especially at the elementary level. I want everyone to know, I understand that I want everyone to...
Okay, so let's talk about that. Immediately affirmed the gender identity of her child. So, I know somebody who's very, very close to me, love them very, very much. They were going through some tough stuff. They had some mental difficulties with depression, anxiety, and things like that. They were going to college. They went to a counselor, right? Went to a counselor and they were expressing how they felt, right? And the counselor just affirmed everything they felt. Just affirmed it all. Now I understand a counselor isn't a psychologist, a counselor isn't a psychiatrist. However, if somebody is coming to you and saying, yeah, I just feel like my family hates me, just feel like this person doesn't like me, or I'm just, lost, everything's bad. Maybe, here's an idea. Let's not start affirming everything somebody comes up and tells you. Because you have no idea if it's true. Your point as a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist is to listen. It's not to affirm anything. It's not to deconfirm it. It's to listen, to help them go through that. This person, who I love and care about very much, a very close person in my life, was able to recognize that, I don't think a counselor, somebody who's supposed to be helping me with my mental health, is supposed to be affirming every sort of wild thought that's going through my head. So immediately they left that counselor and went to somebody else who was actually able to help. Giving in and affirming every little thing that doesn't help. It doesn't. Affirming every doubt a child has is not the way to go. That was a little change of pace. Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. 100%. Now, let's react to this one here.
That are exposing the truth, the elites and everything. You, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Andrew Tate, RFK. People, like even me personally, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Or like, is there a chance for us to win, or are we fighting a losing battle? Because Alex, they have set up the pieces to this game that we're playing in. Is there a
Target like literally put out shirts?
Okay, here, right here. Okay.
God and Christ, and we have to call on God because they've got their God. Notice Target like literally put out shirts with an artist that says
believing in the devil. Yeah,
we are Satanists and we are going to recruit your kids and an adult
shirt with that.
A shirt. The designer was all devil worship Satan.
LGBT,
Satan loves trans. Satan loves trans.
S for Satan.
Now they threw an S in there. Look, Pat. See that one, Rob, where it says Target right there. Go right there. Top left. Target. And that was the pin that they were selling.
Look at this. This is what Target's selling. Yes, he is that. He is from that one meme. Yes, that's Alex Jones. But this is what Target was selling. Satan respects pronouns. This is a pin that they were selling. The F Target. Yep, never stopping there again. No, I don't buy. No, I don't buy from Target ever. No, not anymore. This is what.
Target respects, Satan respects pronouns. They were selling
There's no way they were selling.
100% they were selling.
We sent crew in and got video of it.
Pat, they were selling.
They were selling this in Austin.
Target ignites firestorm with launch of new clothing line designed by Satanists.
100%.
Target just missed a bullseye by a mile and then some. Can you zoom in a little bit? The retail giant has been selected by a few brands in the United Kingdom that promote Satan. You read it right. Target's partner is Ab Pralin. It has produced a prayer collection for Target's celebration of LGBT Pride Month and promotes satanic images, themes.
This is as outrageous.
Listen.
At Target.
Listen. Go to Twitter, and the woman has an account. These are shirts, not just art.
I'm moving to Mars. F this Earth. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Witches for what they are. They also offer clothing and accessories that includes catchphrases like trans witches for abortion. Okay, click on that and let's try to buy it.
So here, let's just all live on Mars together. I'm down with it. So just throwing it out there. No, look, throwing it out there. Okay. If Satan, okay, this is a Satanist who's saying Satan supports. What is it? Pronouns and all this stuff, and this whole movement. You think that it's rooted in any type of good moral efficacy? Thinking? I don't think so. Just throwing it out there. If Satan's supporting anything, I think we should probably stay away from that. Yeah, just throwing it out there. Satan is deceptive, 100%. You know, one thought is that the idea of like Satan, he is viewed nowadays, unfortunately, as a figure of rise above, fight against the machine and everything. That's not what Satan is. Satan is a pure 100% against anything good. That is what the real devil is. He is nothing. He isn't rise against, people who are putting you down or anything. Nope. He's 100% purely fight against what is good, pure evil. There's no and that what you say here. He wants to manipulate people, so he will say whatever he needs to. Yep, 100%. Which means maybe he doesn't actually support pronouns, but only pretends to. Yeah. I think he 100%. I mean, honestly, I think he supports. 100%. I think he supports anything that is going to confuse individuals and make people fight against reality. Because if you can convince people to fight, to go against reality, to believe, to not believe what they literally can see, then you have them in the palm of your hand. They will say 9 truths to tell one lie. Yep, 100%. And he may respect pronouns to confuse people. Yeah. How would they know what Satan thinks? What are your theories? How would they know what Satan thinks? What do you think? I mean, I don't really like to talk about the devil at all. I know he's alive and he's real and everything, but just to put it short, just as God communicates with us and we can feel the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit touch our hearts and get to guide us, he can do the same thing. He has his angels, his evil spirits. Talk to him enough, he can deceive you. Saying that's how you find out what he thinks. You worship something evil, evil's gonna answer back. So you stay away from it. You don't listen to it. You stop playing. If you're playing chess with the devil, the only way to win is to stop playing, is get up and leave. Because no matter what, you will lose. You will always lose. I was thinking more of the lines of how did the shirts designer get that in mind? Well, he was a Satan worshiper, so I mean, like I was saying,
which is horrible.
He wants to make people feel included. So he's like, hey, if those religious people aren't, letting you do whatever the heck you want and respecting you, I respect you. The devil doesn't respect you. He doesn't respect you at all. So the thing that people don't understand is that you have way more power than the devil. Way more power. But you can't give him, you can't give him any power. The only person that can give devil power is you. You can't give the devil, he can't force you to do anything. You can only listen and do what he wants you to do. But yeah, you hear about the public schools that allow after-school satanic clubs or something like that. Function? I guarantee you right now, if there's any school that's going to be doing that, I will pull my kid out of school immediately. There's none of that. Yeah, but they won't allow the Pledge of Allegiance to be said in the classroom, or people to wear, religious shirts. Yeah, or talk about God. Yeah, okay. Yeah, isn't that weird? What do you think about TV shows and movies that portray a figure of God, like an actual person, like Lucifer, for example? Satan hates us, sadly. Also, what with what you said, Sophia? I think that that's an evil thing, Sophia. I think that there should I don't think any group, I don't think that should be allowed. To school, public schools, to allow after-school satanic clubs, that should never be allowed. That's evil. What do you think about TV shows and movies that portray a figure of God? So it depends. It depends. So for example, there's a TV show called The Chosen. Highly recommend it. My favorite TV show in the entire world. It talks about Jesus Christ. It walks through his life of Jesus Christ. I mean, Jesus Christ is my God, and I don't have a problem with that. I think it depends on the respect that you give it, right? For example, so the show Lucifer, I won't watch that show, and this is the reason why I won't watch the show Lucifer, because it portrays, it offers sympathy to the devil, in my opinion. In my opinion. And my parents watched it. I think the first 2 seasons, it was actually pretty good and stuff. It was just weird. It was a little different, like a kind of portrayal of the whole cosmos and all that stuff. But then they stopped watching it because it got like really woke, like season 3 or something. I don't know. But I don't want to watch it because I think personally I don't want to, I guess, be desensitized. For me, I don't want to be desensitized thinking that, oh, the devil can be a sympathetic guy. He's not a sympathetic guy. He only wants your destruction. He hates you. He hates all of us. There's no good, nothing good comes from the devil. So I don't watch it. Just personally, I think there's a portrayal. You can put Jesus and religion in movies, but I feel that you should do it respectfully. If you're going to talk about God, I think you should do it respectfully. That's what I feel about it. It's true. About 170 public schools allow it. That's disgusting. No shot. That's disgusting. Seriously, Sophia? 170 public schools allow satanic clubs or something? That's disgusting. That's wow. Ollie, that is not extremely surprising to me. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I love The Chosen. Yeah, The Chosen is an amazing, amazing series. 100%. There's 90,000 public schools in the USA. Yeah, well, those 107, they don't go to those. But nonetheless, it's not good. Yeah, 100%. It has a 99% viewer ratings. Yeah, no, The Chosen is amazing. Amazing. Highly recommend it, guys. You watch it. You go to BYU TV. It's an app. You can get it on an app, but you can watch it for free. Highly recommend it. So good. So good. Highly recommend it. Who would want to feel bad for a person who wants us to suffer forever? Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so literally like less than 1% of the schools. Yeah, well, still, any percentage is too much in my opinion.
Well, here's the good news. They pulled it after a week.
Okay.
Yeah, but and
then they got all these bomb threats from the LGBT pieces.
Yeah, leave it in there. The
Rainbow Mafia is real.
The Rainbow Mafia.
Okay, so that's so funny. So they had that pin and those shirts and they pulled it after a week, and then when they pulled it, how this guy talks about this guy right here. I'm gonna move my camera. Him. He talks about. He says the Rainbow Mafia. They threatened Target with bomb threats because they removed it.
It was like, yo, we're gonna bomb Target if you try to mess with it.
Go on that Etsy page.
I love Studio C.
Yeah, that one right there.
Because that guy's name, Abralin, whatever his name is.
Witches for abortion.
Listen, they actually sold the shirts that had a guillotine and said we're gonna kill homophobes.
I'm skipping over. What the crap?
What is a woman? What is a woman?
Oh, this is a commercial about what is a woman. Highly recommend you guys watch this documentary. Amazing documentary.
The other day, this is in New York City, a drag march where the marchers are chanting, "We're here, we're queer, we're here for your children." Tell me this isn't disgusting. Listen. Like they're out here. Now listen, this is out.
How do you want to bet those are public school teachers?
100%. Yeah, and here's the thing.
Coming for your
That's worse. Did you see the San Francisco city funded?
So, look, they're not beating around the bush anymore. I'm sorry. This whole transgender activist movement, they're not beating around the bush. Lag, you hit it nail on the head. What you said. Comment was just so spot on, right on the point. It was, they're effectively manipulating young people to create an easier world for them to live in. Yes. That's exactly what they're doing. Keyword manipulation.
Gay choir where they go, "We're coming for your children. We'll take them. You'll love it. And then we'll get you too. We're going to get your children." And then they go to the city councils all over, even in conservative areas, and go, "We are going to recruit your children and have sex with them."
Oh, my God.
Rob, can you pull that up?
And Alex, how is that not the headline story, but that Titanic sinking ship with 5 people is the #1 story?
Oh, yeah. And Blue's Clues now on,
Does it say right here?
on mainstream TV has Baphomet and Moloch and the kids being sacrificed.
Yeah, so this is exactly what. But here's what's happening. Let me tell you what I think is happening, and I kind of agree with what you're saying. I think common sense will prevail, and a lot of people are sitting there saying this just doesn't make any sense. You saw the Gallup poll that came back where America is right now with the LGBTQ and where they're standing. How the biggest plus minus was the fact that the American people are no longer as comfortable as they were. It dropped by 7%.
You hear that? There's a Gallup poll that went out, and it showed that the acceptance of the whole gay marriage has dropped by 7%. It was the biggest thing that had dropped according to this poll. And because when one side pushes so hard, one side pushes so hard and tries to shove stuff in your face, the other side is going to push equally hard. And they're like, okay, hold on. We've given you an inch, and you've taken miles. We're done. We're done with that. And unfortunately, what happens with this? Fights break out. Unrest breaks out. I believe that we should all be able to live respectfully with one another without shoving sexual ideologies on each other. You know, those people are the ones who are fake and for the most part confused or evil. I am leaning a whole lot more on the evil part with "we're coming for your children." No, 100%, it's 100% evil. 100% it's evil. It's not right. Could you imagine? Let's think about this for a second. Could you imagine if I just went up to you and said, "I'm coming for your children"? You would call the police. I would hope so. I don't care who you are. If anybody is saying like, "I'm coming for your children," I'm like, hell you are. What kind of peaceful protest chants "we're coming for your children"? Yeah, exactly. No peaceful protest. Exactly. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely 100%. There's no peaceful protest when they say "coming for your children." If anybody, any straight guy, if anybody just starts walking around, says "we're coming for your children," like, that's messed up. That's messed up. That just screams grooming, pedophilia. That's just evil. Evil.
Year over year, where we're at. And even the Glendale stuff that's going on with the kids, the parents coming out saying this is too much, you're crossing the line. More and more people are being united on ESG's bad idea. More and more people are being united with "you can't be grooming our kids." More and more people are starting to realize this is not just what we're all about. And it's not 100%. Just the people from the right. It's people who have historically voted Democrat that are saying, "Look, man, I don't know what the hell is going on. This isn't what I supported."
It's a lunatic asylum.
Yeah, you're seeing it's going from Democrat versus Republican, where it's going from establishment against anti-establishment. That's the two political parties.
I have hope for the world, 100%. The main thing I'm trying to get at, this whole thing, and the reason why I'm talking about this, the reason why we're talking about this whole the transgender type movement and everything, this stuff, is because I'm gonna be real with you guys. It's evil. It is. It's evil. Do I believe that people should be able to have the privacy to do whatever the heck they want to do in their own bedrooms? 100%. Go off, do whatever the hell you want in your own bedroom. I'm not going to agree with it. I don't want you to you should never force me to be okay with it, because I'm not going to be. Do I feel that people have the right to do what they want? Yes, they should. Just keep it away from the kids, 100%. I don't need to know who he likes sleeping with. I don't need to know. I'm heterosexual. I don't go off to people and start saying, "Hey, I love sleeping with my wife." I don't do that. Why? Because it's weird. Because it's bizarre. It's weird. I don't like people coming to me and talk to me about their own heterosexual sexual encounters with people. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't need to know. You can just keep it private, okay? But we have gotten to this strange movement now where it's like this weird fad that you can just go around, start screaming from the rooftops who you like sleeping with. It's messed up, it's wrong, and it bleeds down into the kids, and it shouldn't, and it should stay away from the kids. That is just, it's not right. Okay, so this is actually really good.
And then a double mastectomy at 50.
What is causing this rush to that? Like, how did this happen, and how did this happen so quickly?
Well, this is partly tied up with this issue of the college. So here's one way into it. So now professionals are bound by law to offer gender-affirming advice. They're bound by law. Okay, so this is what this means. If you bring your 13-year-old in to be evaluated by a physician or a psychologist, and maybe she has high levels of neuroticism, tilting towards depression and anxiety, and then that's making itself manifest in bodily discomfort, now that's being shaped by this cultural fad that insists that if you feel uncomfortable in your body, it's because you're of the opposite gender. That's the psychological epidemic part of it. And we can talk about that in a little bit more detail. But now you're duty bound by law, if you're a professional, to say, oh, you think you're a boy? Yeah, absolutely. You absolutely, 100%, you are. What can we do to facilitate that move forward? And that all got, what would you call, pushed into the law under the guise of the elimination of conversion therapy. So, unbelievable. Now, the problem with that is, you see, if you're a therapist or a physician, you don't affirm someone's identity. That's
key. Therapist, physician, do not affirm somebody's identity.
It's not your job. And your job is not to deny their identity either. Your job is to help them explore their identity and hopefully to develop it. And so someone comes to you, maybe they have body dysmorphia. And so maybe they're anorexic, that's a form of body dysmorphia. And so the first thing you do, if you have any sense, is you note that that's stemming out of an underlying, more global proclivity to suffer from depression and anxiety. So that's the big elephant in the room, depression and anxiety. So if the trans activist types say, well, the body dysmorphic types are more likely to have suicidal thoughts, it's not because they have body dysmorphia, it's because they're prone to depression and anxiety, and depressed and anxious people are more likely to have suicidal thoughts. And maybe body dysmorphia adds a bit to that, but nobody really knows. Probably adds some. But the fundamental issue is one of depression and anxiety. So now you're suffering from, unspecified self-consciousness, and the culture twists around to offer you a narrative. And the narrative is, oh, well, you're in the wrong body. And then the carrot is, and this is part of it that gets extraordinarily pathological, is a lot of these kids who are suffering from...
This is super, super important right here. It talks about children specifically suffering from
this alienation. Are unpopular.
And unpopularity.
And now they're being enticed. It's like, yeah, well, you're not unpopular. You're interestingly special. So if you just take this carrot, you're the opposite sex, all of a sudden you're not a victim, you're a brave, what would you call, you're a brave seeker after your redemptive identity. And now you can be elevated and you can be treated specially. And my God, if you're an unpopular teenager, how could anything be possibly more attractive than that? And then you also think, well, why are teenagers gullible in that way? Why do they go along with the crowd? And the answer to that is, that's what you're supposed to do when you're a teenager. That's your job, right? Because first of all, you're with your parents and you're not yet a fully fledged individual. So what you have to do is you have to become part of the group. And if you're not part of the group, well, maybe you're a stellar, creative genius and you're exceptional in that manner, but more likely you're just a loser who couldn't fit in. And that sucks, that's for sure. So your job when you're a teenager is to fit in.
That's why this whole gender-affirming, trans movement is so dangerous for kids, for children, for people who, teenagers. It doesn't, whatever age group. To be perfectly honest, I mean, technically speaking, it's funny how teenagers think that way. Yeah, it is. It really is, Evander. And that's why when I said earlier, it's like this fad. And that's what this is. That's what this whole thing, they turn it into like a fad, like a fun thing to do. I'm sorry, there's nothing fun about going through it, transitioning, you know, chopping off your private parts and taking hormones. And people who say that hormones are, you can take hormone blockers and it'll be totally irreversible, are full of it. No, it's not. No, there's not. They're full of it. I don't care what the research they look into. No, they're full of it. How many people? You know, there are people called detransitioners, which means they are adults now. When they were teenagers, transitioned, and they were put on puberty blockers, and now they cannot. They can't. Their puberty didn't just. They just didn't have puberty later. Not what happened. I've heard it. I've heard it where maybe I don't know if it was one of you guys, but I read where the whole transitioning movement and gender affirming care and all that stuff, you help, you know, I think it was 15 out of, you know, or 1 out of 15, you know, it actually does something positive to them initially. The other 14 are just screwed, you know, initially, but they're all hurt. Just, it pains my heart that this is just pushed on these kids and touted by these so-called professionals, so-called, you know, good so-called people who are trying to help out. It doesn't. Okay, we're gonna go into this. This is interesting. This is why I'm saying this is a social fad. This whole movement is just a. It is not a normal biological thing. It is a social engineering. Children's minds are definitely under attack.
5% American adults under 30 identify as trans. 5% of adults under 30 identify as trans. 5 years ago, it was 0.6%.
5% of adults now identify as trans. 5 years ago, it was 0.6%. That's insane.
Okay, that identified as trans. That's not visibility. This is social contagion of a mental health epidemic.
100%.
Okay, Vivek is making a lot of sense lately. Do you want to pull up this tweet, Rob, to show this to the audience? Is this a tweet you had here, or was it a video when he said that?
It's a tweet and video.
Oh, so let him say it. Play the clip.
We need to end this mental health epidemic, not just with anger. I'm not angry at trans people. I'm not.
Yes, 100%.
I'm frustrated with the culture that venerates a mental health illness that we should be treating instead of actually throwing kerosene on and fueling to spread like wildfire across this country. I know you're not supposed to say many of those things out loud, but I just think it's important that we speak truth, because that's got to be the first step towards getting to a solution. And that's what I'm hoping to deliver.
Listen,
Amen.
Too much logic, man. Well,
100%.
he's got too much logic, too many things that make sense. Pull up the tweet one more time. I want to read that one more time for the audience to see it. Zoom in a little bit. 5% Americans under the age of 30 identify as trans. Just 5 years ago, it was only 0.6% of 18 to 29 that said they were trans. Not visibility, this is social contagion of a mental health epidemic, even to the point where a kid doesn't get a chance to walk across the stage. You saw the story, right? This kid is like, a student banned from walking at graduation after saying boys are boys and girls are girls. Is this the article, Rob, that you...
So, yes, exactly. That's what Evander Saw you just crazy things to people, many and most recently now. Exactly, 100%. You know, just and then he goes into talking about how like a student wasn't able to walk Donna's graduation because he said boys are boys and girls are girls. Like, why is that so controversial? Boys are boys and girls are girls. That's the way it is. You know? And you can go into the whole thing like, well, there are those people, you know, who are intersex. I'm like, that's the exception. And even then, most by the chromosomes you can tell which they are, you know, which gender they are. You know, everybody, you know, majority of people have 2 legs and 2 arms. And then there are those very rare people that were born without a leg. I actually knew one when I was on my mission. He was born without a leg. But I didn't go off and tell people like, well, we don't know how many legs people are born with. We just really don't know. Like, no, that's an exception to the rule. The exception does not trump the normality, the most common thing. Okay, here. This is important.
How many points?
I think this is.
It is not the place of a therapist to affirm or conversely to deny the identity of anyone whom they admit into their care. People come to see a therapist after long and painful deliberation because they are suffering, confused, or both. The job of that therapist is to listen, to question, and to proceed with due caution. There is simply no way I would ever tell a 15-year-old adolescent that she is absolutely correct if sometimes she feels more masculine than feminine, and that if she feels that surgery is the answer, then recommend hormones that day. I would instead spend many weeks, perhaps many months or years, listening to her unwrap her story, using caution as my watchword, and help her to come to some thorough and well-developed understanding of both her autobiographical history and her destiny.
So, Lag, you asked me early in the stream, what would I do if I had if one of my children came out to me as trans? What he just said, that's exactly what I would do. Seek to understand. You seek to understand and to hear first, then you're able to help them unravel this difficulty that they are going through. 2 more shorts I want to watch. This is about heartbreaking mom who lost trans daughter, begs California Senate to stop pushing gender ideology. This is true stories of what happened. This is California just passed a law that if your parents do not affirm if the parents do not affirm the gender identity of their child, the state can take away that child. That is sick. That is absolutely disgusting.
Was taken from her loving.
This player.
My daughter was taken from her loving home because the state of California claimed I was abusive for not affirming her trans identity. I lost my daughter over a name and a pronoun. I promised to call her a male name. It wasn't enough. My daughter was not a boy trapped in a girl's body. He had mental health issues. Against my consent, my daughter was given testosterone instead of therapy. The LGBTQ group used her to raise money for them. The abuse claim against me was finally dropped, but it was too late. By then, my daughter was in a horrible mental and physical pain. My daughter knelt down in front of a train. She was murdered by gender ideology. I beg you, stop pushing gender ideology.
I wept the first time I saw this. You imagine your daughter, your child, son, being ripped from your arms, or just being given drugs against your consent, and than to see your child slowly. Even if it wasn't slowly, who cares, you know? Just kill themselves, destroy themselves. It's so messed up. Sophia, yeah, Sophia, that's so messed up. Yes, 100%. This is what the affirming gender ideology does for children. It destroys them. There's a new study that shows the true detransition rate. There are people who have detransitioned. People who's like, oh yeah, there's a few people who detransition. Nope. There's many, and they advocate and tell, do not start pumping up children full of hormones.
Trans crowds' favorite talking points is that rates of regret and detransition are low. They will often say that the rate of detransition is 1%, maybe 2%, but it turns out that talking point is not true. A new study on a sample of about 1,000 transitioners has found a detransition rate of nearly 30%. Hat tip to Megan McArdle from the Washington Post for calling attention to this study. It is called The Continuation of Gender-Affirming Hormones Among Transgender Adolescents and Adults. Study was published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, and it found that the 4-year trans hormone continuation rate was just 70.2%. That's a far cry from the 98%, 99% statistic that the trans activists promote.
I'm sorry, but if you're lying about stuff to push your agenda, you are a despicable person. There are many people who detransition, who advocate for children who not transition. We need to protect our kids. We need to protect our communities. Children are our future. And we need to shout out about this and to not be quiet about it. And to, you know, consequences be damned. Or stuff like what happened to this woman's daughter is gonna happen to many more kids. Fortunately, I'm so grateful that there are many people who do speak out about this, who talk about this. I think this is an important conversation to keep on having, to keep fighting for the safety of our children, safety of each other and our society. And this whole trans LGBTQ ideology that is just shoved on us, and people try to shove it down our throats is not right. You can do what you want to do in the privacy of your own bedrooms, that's totally fine. But I don't have to be okay with it. And stop forcing me to be okay with it.